That's looking a little better. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Loiter Rebel. Don't know who that is. Okay. It's good to have everybody at the live. Appreciate everybody coming by. As always, a little bit of a technical struggle. For some reason, when I schedule lives in YouTube, it comes up, and then when I make it go live, it puts me into the live stream from a separate device. I'm not really sure why it does that. But anyway, we're online for everything right now. So I'm Dr. Frank Cadle with the Get Fit and Be Lean program that I use to lose over 20% of my body weight in 2021. And I really want to thank everybody for coming tonight. We're quite excited to be bringing a little bit of review of the Whitehouse conference on hunger, nutrition, and health. And I'm just going to get right to the meat of the issue tonight. I'm disappointed in the Whitehouse conference. I think the conference 53 years ago that was held by Nixon focused on hunger, led to the WIC program, food stamps, all kinds of innovative approaches to providing nutrition. I think that the biggest issue that is facing the American populace and healthcare today is obesity when it comes to nutrition and fitness and sedentary lifestyles. And I think that the focus of this conference on looking in to how to either expand or promote big money programs that are already in place that they probably aren't going to be able to get through Congress was really kind of self-serving and, understandable coming from the party that's in the White House right now. I understand why they would feel that way. They have some successes in the past and they want to capitalize on them, but I didn't hear any talk at all about how people can start today to make a change in their own health and how vitally important that is. I lost 20% of my body weight in 2021. I lost 5 inches off my waist. I lowered my cholesterol by 20 points. I lowered my systolic blood pressure by 20 millimeters of mercury, my resting heart rate by 30 beats a minute. I didn't take any medications to achieve this. In fact, I got off of my reflux medications. I stopped snoring. And I did it all without any membership, enrollment, subscription, food plans, any kind of supplements or teas or cleanses. And I firmly believe that the vast majority of people can do the same. I think they can accomplish the same thing through the simple fundamental goals that I lay out. If you go back to my very first TikTok video, January 1st of 2021, and you look at what I did, sit-ups, push-ups, jumping jacks, there was a lot of talk at the conference about the importance of spaces for people to get activity and how we need to invest a lot more money to have more parks. And you know what? I'm not opposed to parks. I go to parks. I support parks. But not everybody's going to have access to a park tomorrow. And we need to do something today. I mean, we really need to make a change. And so focusing on calisthenics that almost anybody can do right in their own bedroom as a way to increase your activity level, focusing on nutrition based on portion control with incorporation of the foods that you already eat. We don't need to have some radical transformation of the American diet because it's not going to happen anyway. That's unachievable. All right. Thank you very much, Jason. And you're right. Food is expensive and increasing food insecurity. And so one of the things that I've focused on and I've promoted is the ability of people to provide their own food. I show you the bean sprouts that I make. I 1 or 2 servings a day of fresh greens I get out of those bean sprouts that really cost pennies. And I've shown in my videos how you can prolong the life of your leafy green vegetables and your fruits, and how you can make sure that you get every bit of money that you spend out of those. But I really think another place that the White House really dropped the ball is not looking at the ability of people to provide their own food, whether you live in an apartment, whether you live, if you have a courtyard, you can talk to your landlord. If you have a balcony, you can get some potted plants. And if we get people kind of independent of these food deserts and the bodegas that don't necessarily carry the freshest foods, we can really help them improve their eating without the government having to spend huge amounts of money on distribution. All right. So Danazi says, good morning. It's evening here, but thank you. And the White House, yeah, that was another shortfall. They did not play any Weezer that I saw. But I really think that if they could take a look at simple steps that individuals can institute on their own and really promote those, and if the federal government could come out against all of these fad diet, if they could really get the true information. I mean, I just saw one that came across my feed. This woman said, I drank lemon water every morning and I lost 130 pounds and now I look like a model. I mean, give me a break. I worked hard to lose 20% of my body weight. It was not easy. And but I ate the foods that I like. I just ate them in serving size portions for an individual, not the kind of food that I was eating before when I ballooned up to over 250 pounds. And if we can carry that message of portion control. Now, the Restaurant Association was a participant in the White House Conference on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health. And they appear to really have an intention of, kind of focusing some information, but people are going to buy what they want. And, so we need to really try to carry the message that these ridiculous, supersized, big gulps, Grand Slam American meals are 3 meals in one. And if you want to get, Grand Slam, get one, but just cut it in half right from the very beginning. Move half of it over the other side, put it in a box, eat it tomorrow or the next day. I'm really not a demonizer of foods. I'm really not out to tell entire cultures that they can't eat rice or can't eat tortillas. I think that's absurd. But it's the problem with these extremes. I mean, you see these carnivore diets and just people promoting, 1,200 calorie a day diets. These are not achievable goals for most people. The research is very clear that it doesn't matter what diet you use. At 2 years, 80% of the people have gained all that weight back, and many of them gain more because of the physiologic changes that go on with your body when you're in a severe nutritional deficit. So I understand the White House's motivation. It's a lot easier to get people worked up about hungry kids than it is to recognize that vast fields of the diseases that we deal with today are a result of obesity, okay? People being overweight. You got 6 times the rate of plantar fasciitis if your body mass index is over 30. And meanwhile, we got people trying to assault the body mass index. Well, the body mass index is not the problem. If you don't want to use it, fine. Go with your height divided by your weight. And if that's more than 2, you got a problem. But the idea of being healthy at any size is just a lie. And it's so youth privileged. I'm astounded that people will stand for this youth privilege, because you know what, man, when you're 30, you carry an extra 40, 50 pounds. You're 35, you can still do the things you want to do, carry an extra 50, 60 pounds. You get to be 50, you get to be 60, everything hurts. You can't do the things you want to do, and it becomes the single limiting factor in your life. And so I think that the apparent unwillingness of the White House to really take that stuff on head on is really disappointing. I think it's disappointing, and I think it's a sign that they were kind of already focused on how they were going to go with this conference and the large number of people that they invited from food banks. And food banks are great. I'm a big supporter. I've worked and I've done lots of. My mother-in-law has practically run one. I've gone out to people's houses with the bags of food. But that's not where we're going to make the change that needs to be done. And so I really was a little disappointed. I don't think I'm going to be talking too much about it. I've got a bunch of tweets that are kind of already in the pipeline, and a couple of more videos that I've thought about the pillars and the questions that they posed. But I think mostly I'm going to go back to focusing just on calisthenics and the 2 veggie goal with portion control, because I think it's a little bit idealistic to look at a government that is really having some problems. The economy is shrinking. And when the economy was growing, we were spending more money than we were making in huge numbers, huge deficit spending. Now the economy is shrinking, which means the tax base is going to be shrinking, which means there's not going to be as much money. And so to start looking at big government programs as the salvation is just a delusion. It's a delusion. Nobody's coming to help you except for you, but you can help you. You can start today. Sit-ups, push-ups, jumping jacks. If you can't do a sit-up, lay flat on the floor with your legs bent. Just get your shoulder blades up off the floor. Okay, if you can't do a full push-up, do them with your ankles crossed and your knees bent, or do a push-out against a firm surface. When I started all this stuff, I could do maybe 5 push-ups, maybe half a dozen sit-ups, and a dozen jumping jacks. And you can go back on my TikTok account. All those videos are still up. You can look back January 1st. And you can see the transformation that I was able to achieve while I was working, while, the kids came home for COVID. I was still, dealing with everything that normal people deal with. But I made the portion control and a 2 veggie goal a focus. And I took pictures of all my meals. You can go back and take a look at the videos of many, many meals that I ate. And I think it is something that almost anyone can do. There are people who have medical limitations or other problems, and I do strongly encourage them to talk to a doctor. Don't go surfing around the internet and say, hey, I've got irritable bowel syndrome and Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis and reflux. What do you think I should eat? That's not the way to approach life. You need to have an ongoing sustained relationship with a primary care physician that you trust, and find a solution to all of those different problems, because those are different diagnoses that require different alterations of your diet. And the fact is that the high fiber diet that I recommend can be really tough for people with irritable bowel syndrome. People with diverticulitis may need more fiber. Everything is individual, but I'm not designing this to cure any other illness than obesity. And take my word for it, there is no doubt. Obesity is a disease state, okay? I'm not trying to shame people. I'm not trying to make them feel bad about themselves. I'm trying to see the problem that they have and show them. I did it right on TikTok day after day. Show them that they can fix it. They don't have to wait for the government to decide how they're going to get better fresh vegetable delivery through the food banks. They don't have to wait until they're going to start, forcing grocery stores to locate in particular. You don't have to wait for any of that stuff. Okay. You can start today. So, I don't know if I'm going to do any more on the Whitehouse conference. There's like a 46-page statement that they made about their stance and their proposals on how to deal with these issues. But I did feel they kind of missed the mark and lost an opportunity that they could have had. It's clear that more sedentary people during the COVID-19 shutdown led to increasing weight and people getting even heavier than they were before. And obesity was already an epidemic, but now we have I think 19 states instead of 16 as of the last count, with more than, oh, I forget the numbers, but body mass index over 35. And if you don't like the BMI and you think it's some kind of racist conspiracy, then just look at your height and weight, and look at your height and your waist circumference in centimeters. And if that number is more than 2, you can look at your BMI. I'd be willing to bet that the numbers jive and that they are the same as far as what percentage and what likelihood it is that you are morbidly obese. But understand, you can dodge a bullet with this. That's just like smoking. I mean, people, the smoking, if you look at the curves, World War II started and smoking rates went up. And then 20 years later, lung cancer rates, heart attack, stroke, death, all those different smoking related illnesses started going up. And it took people years to recognize and admit smoking's bad for you. And now we've gone through the same thing with obesity, but it's taken a lot harder. It's just a lot harder. I really, my father said smoking wasn't bad for you, but he had a heart attack at 61. There were people for a long time who fought that information, mostly working for the tobacco companies. But eventually we got to a point where everybody knows smoking's bad for you. And now we need to get to a point where everybody knows being obese is a disease state, but you can change it. It's not something, they've been doing a lot of studies on all kinds of different thermogenic adaptation and other changes that you undergo, the hormonal relationship between the shrinking fat cells and how they affect the satiety centers in your brain. I don't hear anybody who is arguing that means you can't lose weight because it's your hormones, that says, well, teen boys can't be blamed for sexual assault because it's their hormones. I mean, that's the same thing. And so you can change your behavior. You're responsible for your behavior. Nobody else can fix you. Okay. They're talking about Wegovy. It's good medicine. It makes a big difference. It's $9,000 a month, I think. And then as soon as you go off of it, you gain the weight back. So I have a hard time really seeing that as a tremendous victory. I know a lot of people are using it or wanting to. A lot of doctors are wanting to go on it to lose weight. It's not going to make you in any better shape. It's not. It'll make it easier to move around. But that's a cost, I can tell you right now. That is a cost that our system cannot bear. Our system doesn't have that much money. And so without any more questions, all right, thank you, Miss New Jersey. Just became my top #1 viewer. And I really appreciate I want to really thank my new subscribers on YouTube. I'm trying to get you guys some decent videos. YouTube has a 1-minute limit on its short form videos, so it's a little bit it's a little restrictive. But I always put all my lives on YouTube and have for a long time. I do a multi-platform live for Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I even do it for the Spaces and Twitter. And that does seem to be maybe just a little bit of a waste of time, but I actually have had somebody join on there too. So, my goal is just to reach people with a message. This is the graft. I did it. Okay. I did it 20% of my body weight in 2021. And I did it without medications, without fasting, without, eliminating carbohydrate. I didn't do any of that stuff. That's all witch doctor, voodoo, unsubstantiated. The literature is very clear that if you are on a diet, when you go off the diet, you regain the weight. And the fact is that a diet should never be something you are on. The diet should be something that you have. You should have a diet. I recommend that it be a diet focused on single serving portions and 2 servings of raw or steamed vegetables at lunch and 2 servings at dinner. And if you start there and you don't see any results, let me know and we can see what more we can do to maybe help you make some progress. But I think if you start there, you're really going to see some results. I started with just sit-ups, push-ups, jumping jacks every other day. And I mean, literally, it took me more time to edit the videos on TikTok than it did to do the workout when I started. Now I was able to increase to 5 or 6 days a week, and then I started adding new exercises until I was working every major muscle group in the body. And combined with the change in my diet, the diet I have, not that I'm on, I saw tremendous progress. And I think that anybody can do that. I really do. So I hope you'll be watching for my videos. I try to mix them up. They say you got to dial down and get into a niche, and I'm showing cars and dogs and hikes and everything else. But, you know, I get bored seeing the same stuff come across my screen over and over again. It's too much like television. So I hope that you get some entertainment of it. I really appreciate the new subscribers on my YouTube channel. Never thought I would do so well on YouTube. Really exciting to now be accessing Instagram and, you know, TikTok. I've had some really big videos blow up there, 2,250,000, you know, got 75,000 followers, and I appreciate every one of you. I really do. And I hope you'll take a look at my videos, and I hope you will comment and share and like and help with the engagement to help me carry this message, because the White House didn't get it, I don't think, before this meeting. So hopefully somebody else will. Nobody has any further questions. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. You have to change your lifestyle. Absolutely. And your own diet is a part of that lifestyle. All right. And I really thank everybody for coming by. It looks like we got pretty good turnout all the way around, but keep an eye out, and I'll be here 7:30 every Sunday.